Hey, welcome back to Beyond Sunday. My name is Kurt, and I am the host here, and I am sitting with my good friend, Josh Conrad. Welcome, buddy. How are you?
What's up, Kurt? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Well, it is Super Bowl week, and
Ooh.
I am a big fan of Super Bowl. Although I am not a huge fan that Tom Brady is not on the Patriots anymore, but I think I'm going to root for him this time around. What do you think?
I don't blame you for that. Listen, Tom Brady has probably brought you as much joy as he has brought me misery. So enjoy the week.
Who are you a fan of?
I don't even want to admit it.
Oh, okay.
But I am a New York Jets fan. I'm not even a Giants fan.
Jets, like Joe Namath?
Yeah, that's
Jets?
one. He was one. There's
well,
been
I
others.
think there's been others.
Not very good players, but Tom Brady has been a thorn in my sports side for as long as I can remember. So cannot root for him Sunday. Let's go Chiefs. I'm lining up with our North Haven campus pastor, Jim D'Angelo, big Chiefs fan. Shout out Kansas City. Let's go Patty Mahomes.
We'll see. It's going to be a wild weekend. I'm looking forward to that. But how is everything with you? How are your twins? How is life?
Our twin boys are good. They're now 2.5,
Wow.
which is crazy how fast time is flying.
Yeah.
But, man, we're having a blast. Every day is a new adventure. Every day they're learning something different. They're expressing their personalities more. And so in so many ways, like parenting twin toddler boys through this life that we're living has been super challenging and at the same time super rewarding. My wife and I go to bed most nights going, man, that was awesome. And even in the challenges, like, learning how to parent better, really gleaning from even some of our other staff, their spouses with kids that are a few years older than us has been super helpful. And so, man, having a blast.
Yeah, and I noticed when I was, my kids were a little bit younger, that first year it is hard for a father because you kind of feel like you're there to help, but you don't exactly know what's going on. I mean, the motherly instinct happens immediately. So, I could see that. But from a father standpoint, it wasn't until my kids were able to walk and I can have a little bit more fun roughhousing, doing things like that. That's when the inner child in me came out, and I was like, this is so awesome. Now I'm shooting pucks at them in the basement. It's just, there's a certain time where they can now grasp the reality of life, and that's when it's like, all right, now it's dad time. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are days now I come home, my boys see me, and their eyes light up. And Asher, so they're twin boys, he'll look at me and he'll just roar like a dinosaur because he knows it's daddy dinosaur time, which is I go and hide in places of the house. They're creeping around, and I burst out from behind a corner, roaring at them with my hands up, and they shriek and run away. And we do that for half an hour, which is just a blast. Man, raising boys is fun.
It's the little moments.
Yeah.
So that's what makes everything. So I wanted to bring you in today because I wanted to talk about a couple different things. Number one is our online church presence. I want to dive right in and talk about that because over the last year or so, we have developed a strong online church, and it's not necessarily because of anything else. It's just we have new people that are showing up online, not just people that can't go to campuses. It's just a new presence online. So talk to us a little bit about what is Vox Church Online right now.
So going back just a little bit in history, so what feels like 10 years ago, but 1 year ago, this wasn't even a reality for us. We were at a place as a church planting more locations across New England and felt like, man, we kind of have the blueprint and God's grace, and so let's just keep rolling. Middle of March rolls around, the world shuts down, and we had to really quickly pivot and go, okay, now that our people maybe aren't or can't come to us, we still had no real idea until about the middle of April. We just decided we've got to create some church online experiences for people. And so for a really long time for us, this was just not in the cards. It was not going to be something we wanted to do. We wanted to drive people to in-person services. And so then in the midst of the chaos of 2020, we really quickly pivoted. I mean, honestly, one of the great strengths of our church has been our tech and production teams because, streaming a sermon or a service from one location, broadcasting in New Haven, and then sending it out to all of our other locations meant that with just a couple of minor tweaks, we could make that available online. Yeah. And so we had to get creative, but at the same time, we were really set and ready to make that transition really, really seamlessly. And if you go back and watch, you can go back and look in the archives of some of our YouTube stuff, some of those early church services where we had some worship and we had preached word, all that stuff. It now looks like it was filmed 25 years ago because we constantly have been trying to tweak it and make it better for people that have been in different reasons. Either you live outside New England, you've not been physically comfortable coming to a location yet, or you're just new and you haven't stepped foot. Maybe you haven't been able to register for an in-person service. And so we've really wanted to make that a great, not a product, because that's probably the wrong word, but really a great experience where from your home, either by yourself, with your spouse, or with your family, you can really engage the Holy Spirit in a powerful way right from your living room.
Yeah. And I actually spoke to Pastor Justin about this not too long ago, but he's mentioned the reach that online has been able to give. It's not, our mission has been for New England, and that's still the mission to this day.
Yep.
But it's interesting to hear him talk about different people that are coming to online church. It's not just within the United States. It's actually in other countries that are logging in, watching church, and it just kind of gives you a perspective of, wow, our reach has now gone exponentially, in all directions, which is really cool to hear.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Like every week we kind of pull down our stats from, I actually just did this morning, and we're pulling down our stats and looking at where are we getting viewers from, how long are they watching for, where are they watching from. Man, like it's crazy to see countries like Malaysia, countries like Australia, Brazil. We have a large presence in Brazil.
Wow.
And so like to see from, our tiny little corner of the world to really share the gospel and to really see fruitful ministry going forward in ways 11 months ago we didn't think we'd be doing. What God has done in the midst of the chaos of COVID has still been to grow his church. And so,
and let's just take that, exactly what you said. In the midst of a global pandemic, we are able to spread the gospel to places we never even thought about. That hasn't been part of our mission. Our mission has been, to reach the hearts of New England, which we are still doing. But it's crazy. The world shuts down, but we're able to reach so much farther. That blows my mind.
And honestly, like when we talk about being a church that models what happened in the first century, when you look at the book of Acts, when you look at the missionary journeys of Paul, these were the things they'd be doing now, And so when you have that perspective and you go, all right, this is what the first century church did, and they traveled and there were written letters to different churches that be read in different places, you go, man, I think if like the Apostle Paul and the apostles were alive now, this is what they'd be doing. They'd be live streaming. They'd be podcasting. Like they would find every every place where they could put this message and just kind of broadcast it. And so, man, we are so uniquely positioned at this stage of life with the tech we have, with the reach we have globally, to really see explosive advances for the kingdom of God, which is so fun to be a part of. Amen.
And having this online service has meant so much more to the Vox community, because not only are people able to get online and watch it and feel comfortable wherever they're at, but it's also created new opportunities inside, headquarters here, inside central location. So I want to talk a little bit about your transition from your old role to your new role, and talk about what that means to you personally. So, you can give us a little brief explanation about what's going on and your new role.
So about 5 years ago now, I was just having some early conversations with Mike Schnepp, our executive pastor, and Justin Kendrick, our lead pastor, about coming back to New England. And so my wife and I, I'm from New England. I'm from Connecticut originally. My wife grew up out west. We had gotten married in Connecticut, had moved down to Richmond, Virginia for about 7 years, doing some ministry there, and got a phone call one day asking if we'd ever be interested in coming back. And it's interesting because the Lord, for a number of years, had really been stirring something in me again for New England. And I remember getting that phone call. It was an 11-second voicemail from Justin Kendrick. If you've ever had a very short, very direct conversation with him, hey man, I know we haven't spoken in 9 years, but would love to see if you want to move back to Connecticut, join this team. Hey, give me a call back. All right, thanks, bye. And I'm like, all right, let me listen to that a second time. Let me listen to that a fourth time. Like, did that just really happen? Is this a prank call?
It sounds so like him.
It's perfect.
Funny.
And so my wife and I started to pray, and I got to a point one day in that process where I said to her, I really don't care what I do. I feel like this is the thing that God is calling us to do.
Yeah.
If they want me to come and sweep floors, I'll sweep floors. If they want me to run a camera, I'll run a camera. If they want me to lead a campus, I'll run a campus. And so for about 4.5 years, we pastored at our Bridgeport location. And then just over the last couple months, made this transition into church online. And so, COVID has presented a lot of different challenges really for everybody. We know individually, even as you're listening, there's been challenges you've had to walk through. If you're a business owner, you're an employee of a restaurant, you work in healthcare, whatever your life looks like, it's also just affected the church, and it's really affected the staff of not just our church, but churches all over the world. Yeah. And so in different ways over the last year, we've reshuffled the deck. We've changed people's roles. And in the midst of that, I had been asked if I would consider doing this, stepping out of Bridgeport and stepping into leading church online. And really for me, I felt this again, just this renewed sense of, hey, I just want to do something here.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this movement, be a part of this family. And so, man, while we miss already our Bridgeport people, stepping into this role, having a broader sense of what's happening across the entire church, being able to really get to the fringes with people and find people that are on the outside and draw them closer to the center has really been exciting. And so, yeah, making that transition certainly sounds like, hey, well, you were pastoring and now you're doing this online thing. Listen, this is just kind of the world we live in right now, is that everything's a little bit different. And so we don't think church online's going away tomorrow. We do think that we're going to be keeping this for a very long time. And there might be tweaks and things we do alongside campuses and as we plant locations. One of the things we're looking at even right now is, as we have viewers in Boston or viewers in Providence, how do we get our arms around them a little bit and start to develop community before a Vox location even exists there? And so finding different ways to leverage what's happening online for in-person connection is really the drive behind what we're doing with Church Online. And man, I am excited. I feel really, really honored to be able to step into this role, keep some pastoral stuff flowing. I'll be doing some things at our New Haven location as well, but really the thrust of my role is going to be to step in and for the thousands and thousands of people that are watching Church Online figure out not just a better experience on a Sunday, but better connection points and help you feel like you're still part of the family. Or if you're brand new to Vox Church, how to be seen, how to connect with somebody, a human, and make some lasting connections with the family of God here at Vox Church. So that's about it.
The role itself, I mean, I cannot begin to describe the need for that specific role. So I want to dive into your responsibilities in that role.
Sure.
So to be a pastor at a campus, it's very easy to walk up to them and say, hey, blah, 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 this is my issue, or hey, can you pray for my friend?
Yeah.
Hey, I have this going on. But what is that like in an online sense?
Yeah.
Is this something? And I'm trying to talk to all the people out there that may have not have ever been to a campus yet, but they need prayer or they need something, or they're looking for guidance. So I want to talk to them and ask them, how would they communicate with you in the sense of online versus to get that pastoral help?
Yeah, for sure. So the number one way that we are doing this during services is really moderating kind of the chat functions. Okay. And so whether it's through our live platform on our website or on YouTube or on Facebook Live during our service times, we have people moderating in those chat spaces where if someone goes, hey, I have a prayer need, we're not just like, clicking like or clicking like the heart emoji. Like we're doing that, but then we're figuring out, hey, do we have any contact info for this person yet? And so maybe we message them directly and go, hey, we'd actually love not to just in a public way right now pray with you, but hey, would it be okay if someone reaches out this week and getting some information from them so that we can step into that space with them. And so we're always trying to put those options out and in front of people. You'll see even on our website now, we've launched one brand new thing this week called Vox On Demand. And so at the end of every Sunday, after our live church experiences have happened, we're making that very same worship experience on demand available throughout the week. And you can watch that. You can also link into our website from there. You'll see in service we have, if you're new to church, text the word connect to the number on your screen. You've heard that 9,000 times if you're watching from home. And for people who have just maybe made a decision during that service to follow Jesus, you can also text Jesus to the number that's on the screen. And we're making that available that way. And then listen, if you want to jump on the website and you're like, I'm just kind of sitting out in church online land right now, I really want connection. email me. We'll find a time. We'll talk. I would love to chat with people, get them connected. If you live in New England, help you get connected to one of our locations. If you live outside of New England, just to build a relationship and go, hey, here's what we're doing as a church and here's how we can support you. Obviously, like, it is a more unique challenge that when you can't just walk across the room, but you've got to message somebody or you've got to text a number on a screen. Like, there certainly is a little bit more challenge to that. But listen, we trust you out there in internet land. You're going to figure out how to send a text. You're going to figure out how to send an email, but do that. And we're also going to find new ways to connect with you and put some things in front of you as options that you can opt into to stay connected or get connected for the very first time.
Oh, that's so great. And so many people, I think, need to hear those specific words. And I just want to talk a little bit about community. Sure. You mentioned the people in Providence, the people in Boston. You know, when they're watching, we're trying to group those people together and start developing a Vox community in those certain areas. And it could be anywhere in New England. It could be anywhere. How do those people who are listening online, and again, they could have gone to church before or they've never gone to church, they could have gone to a campus. How do those people spark a community, or how do they get involved in what we have going on? We have small groups. We have, we have a ton of different things. But how would they get involved if they've never actually and they don't know?
So you can jump on the website. I mean, right now, probably I'd say somewhere in the half to 60% of our community groups as a church have a Zoom or an online option.
Oh, that's cool.
And so every one of our physical locations has that now. An open every week, different nights of the week, where you can, if you're watching from that city or around that city or from somewhere around the world, you go, I want to just be a part of a Vox community group tonight. There's options throughout the week. And so that's one way to do it, is just to jump on one of those and go, hey, I'm brand new and I want to just meet some people. That's one way we're doing it. The second way we're going to do it, we're going to roll out over the next few weeks, but figuring out, hey, if you're watching from a city where there is not yet a Vox location, we want to connect with you. Because we don't want you just to go, I watch a service and then I don't really know anybody. I don't really do anything. There's no place for me to serve. There's no outreach component to what I'm doing. I'm just watching a service and consuming it. We definitely want to get in front of you connection, not just to God through services, but connection to God's people through community groups. And so you're going to definitely be hearing more on that over the next few weeks and months as we really roll out this plan to help people get better connected from church online into actual relationship here at Vox. And listen, it might happen over Zoom because we understand the limitations right now of gathering in person, but as those begin to loosen and as those regulations hopefully in Jesus' name go away, we are going to be able to create more in-person gathering options, even in places where we don't yet have physical Vox locations. And so we're figuring out a bunch of that now. There's about, the inbox on my desk is like 700 high and the outbox on my desk is like 4. And so like the things I want to get to and shift those to where we have things that are rolling out with in implementation world. That's going to be happening over the next few months, but stay tuned because it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah. And for all those people out there that are questioning whether or not they want to reach out, whether they want to serve or whether they want to be a part of community group allows you access to different people in terms of, getting together with like-minded people and experiencing God on a different point of view. My community group, it allows me to challenge myself to, really take the teachings from Sunday or what I'm reading in the morning and apply them and actually talk about them on a regular basis with people that are all like-minded, and I can't say enough about what a community group actually does to the heart, because it really, really changes your perspective. It's not just Sunday morning. It's not just, whenever you're watching it on a Monday afternoon. It applies it throughout the week, and you have people to hold you accountable, which I think is the biggest thing, especially for me in my life. I have my, hey, what'd you guys read this week? How did it apply to you? Let's talk about this. This is really cool. Just different things like that. So, for all you people wondering, and if you should, guys, just get on there.
And I'll say this too, obviously from a personal discipleship standpoint, you can't do this alone. Like nobody on earth, no one that God has created, and all of us have been created in the image of God, no one was designed to do this alone. And so if you're wandering right now going, I'm kind of reading my Bible, I'm kind of watching church online, or I'm kind of doing this, I'm kind of doing that. If you're ever in a place of like, I don't know what to do next, I promise you that longing in your heart, that peace that goes, something's still just missing. It's community with God's people.
Yeah.
This is the way that the church has grown forever, is in communities, in small groups. In the first century, it was house to house, and they would gather house to house to open up God's word, to read together, to worship, to pray. And this is also like the first line of care, you know? And so people always ask us, how do you guys just care for people? We kind of do it through our community groups.
Yeah.
Like we trust as a group of 10 or 12 or 15 people are gathering together on a weekly or regular basis. You're the most tapped into each other's needs. You know what's happening in someone's marriage. You know what's happening with a physical need. I was talking to someone just a couple weeks ago from one of our locations who said, my community group literally has kept me alive through a long, long battle with cancer. And It's like, man, like if there's ever a drive towards something, if there's ever a pull into community, it's knowing that in the darkest moments of my life, there's a community of people that are right around me, not just making meals, but checking in and caring for me on a daily basis. And then through the joys of life, like the joys of life get exponentially bigger when I tell my community group, I'm praying about this, and we're praying. And then that person in my family we've been praying for says yes to Jesus, or there's a breakthrough in my career, whatever it is, like my joy gets exponentially bigger as I do that in community. And so, you know, it lessens the pain of the hard things of life, and it grows the joyful things in life at the same time. Like this is the purpose of community.
Hey, Jesus had the 12 disciples.
Sure did. Yeah. Only one of them, you know, betrayed him.
Yeah,
which,
hey.
11 out of 12, not bad. It's a pretty good percentage. It's like
odds.
Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, 11 out of 12.
That is true. That is true. So I just wanted to, finish up with, what is the heart of online church? What is the goal? You know, what is online church mean to you, and where do you want it to go over the next year? I know, we want people to get involved in their local church and head back to campuses as soon as all these restrictions get lifted. But for the time being, we're where we're at. And so what is your heart and Vox's heart for online church?
Yeah, it's such a big question, and I could take a ton of time. I would say this. The big drive of church online is for more people to meet Jesus. It's the big drive. The big drive of my heart is that we have the opportunity and the ability to reach more people with the gospel online than we really do anywhere else. With the kind of COVID restrictions we've had, it's about a 5-to-1 ratio. 5 people are watching online for every 1 person that's been able to show up in person. Yeah. And so with that many people, either watching from home, watching from their phone, from their car, wherever they're watching from, that's 5 people to every 1 in person. And so we know that the reach is exponential. And so we're going to be really pushing forward to find ways to expand the reach of the kingdom of God across New England, so that more people meet Jesus. And then just this connection point, which we've been talking about. And so once we as a church, maybe get shared from someone in our church, maybe you get invited and you're watching on our website or wherever you're watching, whatever platform we're on, then finding connection with God's people is like the second biggest thing. And so, we're not just trying to go, hey, we've got a million viewers. That's cool. Like, it's cool to say that. Hey, how many of those people are in life-changing relationships with other people? How many of those people have made the absolute best decision of their life to say yes to Jesus and then go deep with God's people? Yeah. And so, man, it's reaching more people and then seeing those people transformed. And so this has been the plan of Vox since the very beginning, is to spread the lifestyle of authentic Christianity for the glory of God and the transformation of the city. And so we're going to keep doing that, and we're going to do that. All of the Vox DNA, all of our values, all of those things are still going to be expressed with online. And we are also still going to be pushing people toward community groups, finding new ways to be at the very forefront when we launch a new location, so that when we launch Boston, when we launch Providence, when we launch in Portland, Maine, or in Burlington, Vermont, wherever we're going to launch in the future, there's already maybe 50 to 100 people who have been watching there. And so we're also staying at the very forefront, connecting more people in launch cities with our launching team, so that when we launch there's already 100 people that are coming. Yeah. And then for the people outside of New England, listen, we know that there's people right now that are watching from Michigan. There's a whole floor. There's a floor of a dorm at a Christian school in the Midwest that they watch together. And so, 50 guys crammed into a room watching one screen together is like, what in the world? Like, I was not doing that in college, but good for you guys.
Yeah.
But for those guys, it's like, hey, how do we not just resource you guys better? How do we help you find people right around you and develop community and develop relationships as well? So, and listen, whether it has the Vox name on it or not, all we want is people to meet Jesus and then get connected to gospel preaching churches. And so we're going to be working out a lot of those details for outside of New England, but both of those things still carry the heart. And for me, you know, for my wife and I, even as we made this transition, decided to step out of pastoring in Bridgeport, jumping into church online, has just really been the cry of my heart, has been for these thousands and thousands of people that for the last year have, for the most part, kind of wandered into the chaos of 2020 and now a little bit still into 2021 alone. And we don't want you to be alone. You know, you're not alone today. And so getting into all of those crevices and places where people have fallen into or wandered or drifted away from some in-person gatherings, we want to get our arms around you again, help you find your place, not just at Vox Church, but in God's kingdom, help you get connected to a local church, and then see you grow in Christ. And so it's still pastoral in so many ways. And for me, like that's what made me say yes to this, was there's a huge need across this region, really across our world, that I wanted to step into and take this on. So
lastly, I just wanted to ask you, as a people and as a community of Vox, how do we contribute?
Yes.
You know, so in terms of inviting people, I always used to be like, hey, come to church with me, blah, blah, blah. How do we contribute to Vox? How can we help? How can we, get this online presence to, grow?
Yeah. So the easiest things to do is just to share stuff, as you see content posted on Instagram or posted on Twitter, posted on Facebook, wherever it is, share it with people, invite them to view on Sunday. Maybe you've got a family member or a friend that you've been wanting to invite to church, and with the registrations we've had to do at different locations, or they're not physically comfortable coming to a gathering of people in person right now, share the link with them. Have them watch with you. Go, hey, let's watch this together. That's one. And then two, we're actually going to be rolling out over the next couple of months ways for people to also join the Church Online team. So if you are within Vox Church and you're like, hey, I was on production and now, like, for whatever reason, I've not been able to serve in person, guess who's coming knocking is good old Josh Conrad, because we want to build a church online team. I don't want to do this alone. That's not fun either. And so another expression of community is serving together. And so we're going to be creating some different volunteer roles and some different ways that people across our church can stay connected and be a part of serving with church online. And so more to come on that as well. So I would say, though, it's so easy just to share a link, to share something on the website, and then to invite someone to watch with you. Maybe you are not comfortable coming to an in-person service, and that's fine. Watch it with somebody, share it with somebody. Say, let's watch this at the same time. Why don't you come sit in my driveway and we're going to watch it together, or come to my house if we're family, whatever the situation is. Sharing something like that is a really easy way for every single one of us, not to grow the name of Vox again, like that's not the heart, not the drive here, but to put the gospel in front of someone that's far from God today. Like, it's so easy just to share it and invite someone to do that with you.
Yeah. Well, you guys heard it here first. The man behind Vox Church Comments Online is Pastor Josh.
I'm not a robot. I'm a real person with feelings and values.
That's right. It's not just a bot just responding. There is somebody there. So anyone, if you guys have any questions, if you're watching online or you need to comment, you now know that you can connect with somebody, which is extremely important. So make sure you guys utilize that, because it is there for you. So Josh, once again, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. We're excited to see what happens with this new venture.
Let's go. Church Online, Vox Church. Let's do it.
Let's go. Have a good one, buddy.
See ya.